How many times can one organization publicly acknowledge they need center depth before actually acquiring legitimate center depth? This isn't sarcasm. It's a question that demands accountability as the Montreal Canadiens enter their second consecutive season desperately searching for forward reinforcements. Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes have been transparent about their needs, active in their inquiries, and meticulous in their due diligence. But transparency without action eventually becomes empty rhetoric, and patience without results tests the faith of even the most loyal supporters. The latest rumor mill connects Montreal to multiple targets, ranging from rental wingers to franchise centers, and the spectrum of possibilities reveals both the organization's ambition and their continued indecision about timeline and identity. Pierre LeBrun confirms Canadiens' interest according to TSN's Pierre LeBrun. The Canadiens are among many teams that have inquired about Vancouver Canucks forward Kiefer Sherwood's availability. This aligns with previous reports from David Pagnotta, confirming Montreal's sustained interest in the 30-year-old winger approaching unrestricted free agency. The updated Sherwood profile lets examine the complete picture with surgical precision. Offensive production, currently on pace for a 36-goal, 12-assist prorated season career best performance, arriving at the most financially opportune moment second line, left wing position in Vancouver's lineup explosive goal scoring, representing significant variance from career norms positional versatility. With caveats can play wing or center, though face-off efficiency is problematic 38% face-off win. Percentage this season career average at just 46% on draws. These numbers disqualify him from legitimate center consideration defensive concerns. Usually produces solid defensive metrics, considerable downtick in defensive numbers. This season raises questions about sustainability and age-related decline contract situation. $1.5 million annual average value. Extremely team-friendly. Unrestricted free agent this summer. Easy cap absorption from Montreal, without financial gymnastics expected to. Command $4+ million annually in free agency. The fundamental problem remains, here's the brutal truth that cannot be sugarcoated. Sherwood doesn't solve Montreal's most pressing issue, lack of depth down the middle of the ice. His face-off numbers disqualify him from center consideration. His defensive downtick raises sustainability concerns. His age 30 suggests his career year represents peak value rather than emerging trajectory. And his impending free agency creates rental risk without extension guarantees. As a winger addition? Logical. As a solution to Montreal's center crisis? Completely inadequate. Darren Dreger's report, TSN's Darren Dreger, mentioned Canadiens while discussing both the Vancouver Canucks and St. Louis Blues, noting that the Blues appear open to trading players as their season spirals toward lottery positioning. This opens conversation about two legitimate difference makers who could transform Montreal's trajectory. Player profile and production, Robert Thomas represents exactly what Montreal has been searching for. A 26-year-old center in his prime years who fits the organization's ideal age demographic. Let's break down his complete profile. Current season performance. For goals, 13 assists in 23 games, 17 points. Leads the Blues in scoring despite team-wide struggles, 52% face-off win percentage, legitimate center credentials. Difficult to evaluate accurately given St. Louis's organizational chaos career context. Proven top six center with playoff experience, strong two-way reliability, excellent playmaking vision, and hockey IQ age 26 places him in perfect developmental window with Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky contract situation. Year 3 of an 8-year contract, $8.125 million annual average value, significant long-term commitment with both security and risk term, provides stability, but limits flexibility. The acquisition cost reality, Thomas would command a massive return in any trade scenario. We're discussing multiple first-round picks, likely 2026 and 2027. Premium prospect, Lane Hutson, Logan Mailloux, or Owen Beck. Roster player for immediate Blues, help potentially additional mid-round selections. This represents franchise-altering asset expenditure, the kind of move that either validates a general manager's vision or haunts them for a decade. Strategic analysis. Does this make sense? Arguments for acquiring Thomas. Addresses critical need, legitimate number 2 center behind Nick Suzuki age alignment. 26 years old, fits Montreal's competitive window contract certainty. 8-year term, provides long-term stability, two-way reliability. Strong defensive metrics complement offensive skill, face-off competence. 52% win rate addresses specific weakness arguments against acquiring Thomas. Massive asset depletion, surrendering multiple premium picks and prospects contract risk $8.125 MAV through age 34, carries decline risk current struggles. Down year raises questions about true value opportunity cost. Assets could address multiple needs instead of one team context. Difficult to evaluate performance on struggling Blues. A verdict on Thomas. This represents a legitimate conversation worth having. Unlike Kiefer Sherwood, Robert Thomas addresses Montreal's actual positional need with a player in the appropriate age range and contract structure. The cost would be astronomical, but franchise centers rarely become available. If Kent Hughes believes Thomas represents a cornerstone piece who elevates the entire organization, this is the type of bold move that separates good rebuilds from great ones. However, the current season struggles and massive asset costs require extreme confidence in scouting evaluation. One down year doesn't define a player, but it does create legitimate questions about value and timing. Player profile and capabilities. Jordan Kyrou, the 25-year-old winger previously linked to Montreal earlier this season, represents a different type of acquisition. Elite transition skill with proven offensive production. 3 70-point seasons in career, including 2024-25, currently on pace for 47-point prorated season. Significant downtick. Fantastic skating ability that excels in transition, dynamic offensive instincts, and playmaking vision. Underlying metrics. Continues to produce excellent underlying numbers despite team struggles. Strong possession metrics suggest performance quality. Exceeds results. Transition dominance. Creates offensive opportunities for line mates. Age 25 represents prime developmental years. Contract situation. Identical to Thomas. 8-year deal at $8.125 million, AAV year 3 of long-term commitment signed through age 33, carrying similar decline risk. Contract structure limits flexibility, but provides certainty. The positional complication. Here's the immediate problem. Kyrou doesn't address center depth. Montreal already possesses young wingers with offensive upside. Cole Caulfield, Uri Slavkovsky, and various prospects developing through the system. Adding another high-priced winger, regardless of skill level, represents resource allocation that doesn't address the organization's most glaring weakness. Strategic analysis. The case for and against arguments for acquiring Kyrou. Elite skating. Transition dominance that few NHL players possess. Age 25. Entering prime years with upside. Remaining underlying metrics. Performance quality exceeds surface results. Proven production. 3 70-point seasons demonstrate capability. Playmaking ability. Creates opportunities for line mates. Arguments against acquiring Kyrou. Positional redundancy. Doesn't address center need. Current struggles. 47-point. Pace raises value. Questions contract commitment. $8.125 million through age 33. Limits flexibility. Asset cost. Would command similar return to Thomas opportunity cost. Resources better spent addressing actual needs. A verdict on Kyrou. Jordan Kyrou is an excellent player experiencing a down year on a struggling team. His skating ability is elite, his underlying metrics remain strong, and his age fits Montreal's timeline perfectly. But he's the wrong player for Montreal's current needs. Unless Kent Hughes plans to move Kyrou to center, a positional shift with no historical precedent. This acquisition represents luxury spending when the organization requires necessity purchases. The Canadiens need centers, not additional wingers, regardless of talent level. Understanding Montreal's approach. Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes have established a reputation for thorough due diligence, performing extensive homework on potential acquisitions, understanding market dynamics, and avoiding impulsive decisions that mortgage futures for marginal improvements. This approach is merit. Patient, calculated decision-making separates sustainable rebuilds from panicked asset depletion. However, there's a fine line between prudent patience and paralysis by analysis. Montreal has been shopping for forwards since last season. They've been linked to dozens of players, made countless inquiries, and performed exhaustive evaluations. But they haven't acquired the legitimate number 2 center they publicly acknowledge needing. At some point, due diligence must transition to decisive action. The prospect pipeline, while promising, requires NHL support to develop properly. Nick Suzuki cannot carry center responsibilities alone. The current roster construction has glaring holes that patience alone won't fill. The homework phase, as the report correctly notes, It's always wise to take trade rumors with a grain of salt. For the most part, we can assume Montreal is simply doing their homework, gathering information, understanding market prices, and preparing for potential opportunities. This doesn't mean deals are imminent. It doesn't guarantee acquisitions. It simply reflects competent organizational behavior in a league where information and preparation create competitive advantages. The danger of inaction, however, there's a counterbalancing concern. Homework without execution eventually becomes procrastination. If Montreal enters next season still searching for the same center depth they needed this year and last year, the patient rebuild narrative begins to feel like excuse-making rather than strategic planning. For Kiefer Sherwood, rental winger first-round pick 2026, mid-level prospect possibly conditional additional pick based on performance value assessment. Overpayment for positional redundancy for Robert Thomas, franchise center 2 first-round picks 2026, 2027, premium prospect Hudson, Mayu, or Beck, roster player Christian Dvorak or similar. Additional mid-round selection value assessment. Massive but potentially justifiable for addressing critical need for Jordan Kyrou, elite. Winger 2 first-round picks, 2026, 2027, top prospect, not Hudson level but significant. Roster player for immediate help conditional pick based on performance value assessment. Significant overpayment for positional luxury analytical breakdown. The numbers tell the story. Kiefer Sherwood's sustainability concerns current production, 36 goal pace. Career best by massive margin. Career average, 12 goals per 82 games age 30. Declining years approaching. Face-off percentage, 38% disqualifies. Center consideration, defensive metrics. Considerable downtick this season's statistical reality. Current performance represents unsustainable variance, not emerging skill development. Robert Thomas's true value current season, 17 points in 23 games, 0.74 points per game. Career average, 0.75 points per game. Face-off percentage, 52%. Legitimate center credentials, age, 26 prime years. Contract, $8.125 million through age 34. Statistical reality. Down year likely reflects team context rather than individual decline. Strong face-off numbers and career consistency suggest reliable top 6 center. Jordan Kyrou's underlying excellence current season, 47-point pace, significant downtick. Career best, 75 points, 2022-23. Underlying metrics, continue to excel despite surface struggles. Age, 25, entering prime. Contract, $8.125 million through age 33. Statistical reality. Underlying metrics suggest performance quality exceeds results. Team context explained production downtick, not individual decline. Clear hierarchy of targets. Tier 1, franchise-altering acquisition Robert Thomas, addresses critical center need, appropriate age, legitimate top 6 impact. Tier 2, luxury addition Jordan Kyrou, excellent player, wrong positional fit for current needs. Tier 3, marginal improvement Kiefer Sherwood, rental winger, doesn't address center crisis, age concerns. Strategic recommendation Kent Hughes should aggressively pursue Robert Thomas. If St. Louis makes him available, the asset cost would be massive. But franchise centers rarely hit the market, and Thomas addresses Montreal's most pressing organizational need. Hughes should pass on Jordan Kyrou despite his talent. Positional redundancy and contract commitment don't align with current roster construction needs. Hughes should absolutely avoid Kiefer Sherwood at the rumored price point. Rental wingers don't justify first-round picks for rebuilding teams, especially when they don't address positional needs. The Montreal Canadiens have been transparent about their needs, active in their inquiries, and patient in their approach. These qualities reflect organizational competence and strategic discipline. But patience has limits. At some point, due diligence must transition to decisive action. The roster has glaring holes that homework alone won't fill. Nick Suzuki needs legitimate center support. The young core requires proper infrastructure to develop. If Robert Thomas becomes available, Kent Hughes must strike decisively, even if the asset cost feels uncomfortable. Franchise centers don't grow on trees, and opportunities to address critical needs rarely arrive gift-wrapped. If only rental wingers and positional luxuries remain available, Hughes should maintain his patient approach, protect the prospect pipeline, and wait for the right opportunity rather than forcing suboptimal moves. The difference between good general managers and great ones often comes down to knowing when to act boldly and when to exercise restraint. Kent Hughes has demonstrated the latter repeatedly. Now we'll discover if he possesses the former. Would you surrender multiple first-round picks and premium prospect for Robert Thomas? Does Jordan Kyrou's elite skating justify the massive asset cost despite positional redundancy? Should Montreal avoid all three targets and continue their patient approach? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have an intelligent, nuanced debate about roster construction, asset management, and the fine line between patience and paralysis. And if you appreciate analytical breakdowns that prioritize logic over hype, smash that like button and let me know what topics deserve deeper examination. Your voice shapes how we evaluate this organization's direction. Let's talk hockey with the intensity and intelligence it deserves. Current date, Friday, December 5th, 2025, 11:39 a.m. This has been your comprehensive analysis of the latest Montreal Canadiens trade rumors, examining Kiefer Sherwood, Robert Thomas, and Jordan Kyrou through the lens of strategic roster construction and long-term organizational planning.